Hello, everybody. My name is Balakrishna, and I'm a part of Novartis. I'm a product manager at Novartis, and I am here to support viewing learning to with this open community session on making careers in blockchain. I have around 3 years of experience now in blockchain, and we are developing a few products at Novartis with regard to pharma use cases. And this is my first presentation outside of work, and this is my first community talk as such. And I'm pretty excited to be here with all of you, and very glad that you have taken out time on a Sunday evening to listen to this community session and be a part of the learning journey. It is amazing to see all of your enthusiasm over here. Right. So before I start off, I would like to know how much do you already know about blockchain? In case you want to unmute yourself and speak, that's fine. Or if you want to let me know in the chat box, please feel free to type in. So how aware are you about blockchain? Anybody? Any replies? Okay, great. So we have a mix over here. We have a college student here, and we have Ravichandran who's aware about Hyperledger Fabric. Okay, nice. Good to know. Good to know, Ravichandran. Right. So then let's probably move into, yes, Yogesh. Let's probably move into the next slide where I'll tell you um, what is your key takeaway from today's agenda. And so after after this session, you will have a proper understanding of blockchain, what is a blockchain, and what are the types of blockchain that are present. And you will also have an idea about what applications are upcoming, what applications are currently present, a brief understanding about what NFTs are, what cryptocurrency is, and what is happening in this world in the world of crypto, right? And then I'll be able to give you a sample example of in a real world how asset management happens through blockchain. Then we go into deep dive into how to build your career in blockchain and all the learning resources from which I have learned, and you it will also probably be useful for you, right? So what is blockchain exactly, right? Blockchain is basically a peer-to-peer network which allows you to share or transfer information or currency without the need for an intermediary, right? Blockchain removes the need for a centralized system, thereby removing the need for participants to get authorized by a central authority. So what does this actually mean is that, for example, imagine a situation where you want to register an account in any site like Flipkart or Mintra or anywhere. You always have an option to sign in with Google, right? You are not owning your identity, but here Google is actually providing you an identity in order to go and transact with Flipkart. So, assuming that Flipkart is one entity and you are another entity, um, you are using Google in order to provide your authentication for you to transact, right? In a blockchain scenario, we would lay a network network between the two entities, and the identity is mutually you are mutually identifying each other, right? And another use case is like, suppose you want to send money to your friend. You're using a bank account. A bank account is again driven by some other central bank account, and when you have to send money from one person to another, you are sending through multiple people, right? It goes to the bank says okay, the other it goes to the other bank identifies the person and finally deposits. So there is a lot of process and lot of infrastructure that goes in, right? So you are required again to have an account first with a bank, which makes the bank in control. And suppose bank closes of tomorrow, you wouldn't have your money, and you'll have problems accessing your money, right? It, although it is your money, you will still have problems to access it, which is where blockchain comes in, and blockchain removes the need for a central controlling authority and allows peer-to-peer transactions, right? And what is great about this is that it helps you to keep your system auditable at all times. At an enterprise level, it allows you to keep your systems auditable at all times, and it allows immutability, wherein when once you transact, that transaction is permanent, and there are no double spends, etc. In payments especially, this is very useful. And there is exemplary data privacy and data sharing options, where your data is completely yours, owned by you, and there is no need for a second person to authorize you, or or somebody looking into your data and saying, making analysis out of it. Your identity is managed, and people need not know anything extra about you other than probably your address, or in case in certain scenarios where you're applying for a job on a blockchain portal. Let's say there is a blockchain job portal, and you want to apply for a job over there. You'd probably go through a different route. Let's say there are new things like zero knowledge proofs and all, which allow you to only reveal what is required and what is required for that particular application, right? So the transactions are transparent and open, but it is all private and secure, right? These are transparent and private. These are very counterintuitive, but then we'll see why it is like that, right? So there are two major types of blockchain. One is a public blockchain, and the other is a private blockchain. On the public blockchain, you can be anonymous, you can be anybody, uh, and public blockchain is like a public event. You're suppose let's compare public blockchain to a public event and private blockchain to a private event, right? Event as in a party. So in a public party, you can be anonymous. You don't know who is around you, and you're just going there for getting your work done. And there is no participant control over what is happening. There it is slightly slower. Public blockchains are slightly slower, and the level of decentralization is higher in public blockchain. And the energy consumption, because it is public and many people are using it, the energy consumption is higher. And the security, it is vulnerable. I would not say it is as secure as a private blockchain. It is vulnerable, it is secure, it is highly confidential, but it is vulnerable to attacks. There are many cases where in the past where we have seen that there have been blockchain network attacks where money was stolen, etc. And in a private blockchain, entry is only for authorized participants. In order to add a participant, you have to follow a process, and all this is controlled by a governing authority. The performance is higher. Although there is low level of decentralization, there are new solutions already coming in the pipeline that I know of that are bringing in exemplary decentralization. The energy consumption is lower because there are obviously lesser number of miners in the private blockchain, and it is more secure because private blockchains are mostly used by companies to transact between them, like banks to transact between them. Any other parties who would normally not trust each other, they can transact between each other using blockchain as a network. But in order for those to be qualified as enterprise software, a lot of security protocols are in place. So security is higher on a private blockchain, right? So if we come to the applications of blockchain, blockchain has a variety of applications. People have been very creative with applications. So blockchain applications as a blockchain, if we go to the origin of blockchain, blockchain has its origin in 2000, in the year 2008, when Satoshi Nakamoto actually introduced the Bitcoin. And Bitcoin was specifically meant only for a financial transaction, like transacting money, cross border transactions, and with very less fees, etc. Whereas Ethereum came up with a new standard called the smart contract, which allowed you essentially to run to in order to explore all of these application areas. where you have IoT. Basically, in the near future, you're going to see devices that are constantly, measuring something like your blood sugar, and this blood sugar, your recorded values need not be stored in cloud. This can be stored on a blockchain in a very secure format, and the analysis of that can be done at a later stage only with your identity. So IoT devices that can be protected by the security of a blockchain are upcoming, and these are being explored currently. Identity management, like I was telling you, your identity you can have anonymous identity, and your identity can be verified by zero knowledge proofs and other. There are multiple applications like self sovereign identity and multiple other concepts wherein your identity on the network can be disclosed only as much as it is required and not more than that. And the next is trading and voting. These are very old applications, I would say, where blockchain has been tried and tested for trading and in voting. Even the Indian government, I believe, is looking into incorporating voting standards using blockchain. Fintech is one area. It is not just about transfer of money, but fintech is really huge. I'm sure there are a lot of industry experts who are listening to me right now, and they know uh, how many areas within fintech are there. It goes from lending to banking transaction to capital markets, trade finance, a lot of insurance, and a lot of other things included into fintech. Logistics and supply chain, we'll have a look at it. Emissions, NFTs, and government. These are three other areas. NFT, we will take it in slightly in depth in our next slides. And so, if you look at the enterprise platform, the reason why we have enterprise platform here is Ethereum and Bitcoin are on the public network, and uh, they're for public transactions, public transactions related to public, and they're in the open. But when companies want to establish their own networks, they would go with systems like this, which have, like I was saying, incorporated better security and better transactions, better performance, better reliability, and better peer-to-peer communication instead of broadcasting it to the entire network. So we have Quorum, R3 Corda, Hyperledger Fabric, and the new ones are Stellar, and Cardano. And IBM blockchain is always there as the one of the first enterprise level blockchain solutions. Right? Any questions up to now, or we can go into our next topic? Yes, Tariq, Tariq, I read your comment, and we'll go into that side of the development in the later part of our presentation. Right. So, are we good to go with the NFTs and cryptocurrencies? To use Cardano or IBM, it is not required to pay in case you want to use it for your private purpose or learning purpose. But in case you are trying to deploy your network between organizations, it would be better if you pay and get your credentials from them. You will have active support and these kind of things. All right, so then let's jump into NFTs and cryptocurrencies. So NFT, we are going to touch at a high level, and we're not going into details about NFT. But NFT basically stands for non-fungible token, which means that these tokens are one of a kind. And NFTs are majorly, so suppose, let's take an example over here. Suppose we have a music creator who has created music, and he shares it online on YouTube, and people from other bigger music companies, they listen to this music and they say, hey, this is really good, and they incorporate that music into their songs, right? But if they don't pay back the actual music creator, or if they don't give credits to the actual music creator, then it is not ethical, very ethical. And there have been many instances in the past where many people who come up with original ideas, their ideas have been used. In if there are artists like that, there are people who are creators in that way. It NFTs allow you to execute a smart contract or upload your work onto the blockchain and create a token for it to show that you are the unique owner of it, right? Let's say, these are a few examples. This the one first thing on your left that you see, that is Beeple everyday first 5,000 days, and this particular artwork is a mixture of 5,000 different paintings that were created by a person called Beeple. Beeple real name is Michael Winkelmann, and he created it and sold it on the Ethereum blockchain, and he earned a lot of money. And coincidentally, the purchase, so the price of this is one of the highest selling items, and this was sold to an Indian. So this was sold for like $69 million, and one person named Vignesh Sundaresan, he's known in the crypto world, and he bought this particular art. So if you're an artist or somebody original creator, we have applications in the form of, NFT is just for you. So if you're an original creator, you can go and upload. So some of the other noteworthy, submissions on for the NFTs are Jack Dorsey. This is the first tweet that was ever tweeted on the Twitter account. So he created his account, and he was the first person to tweet. And today Twitter is a big thing, and this tweet actually sold for around 2.9 million USD. So there are other things like people are buying digital art, people are creating art items, small items like this called CryptoPunks, and these are also some of the highest selling items online as NFTs. And CryptoKitties, this was really very popular, noteworthy again in the field of NFTs during 2017, 2018. This was like a crazy thing in the blockchain world where people were going a lot crazy over uh, buying crypto art, CryptoKitties as an art collection. People were buying these art. This is like collecting Pokemon Tazos for the old people, for older generation. This is like the collecting Tazos and collecting Tazos online. So your Tazo would this is like CryptoKitty is one digital art that you would have, and people were uh, ready to pay great price for the uniqueness and for the beauty of this. They were like voting on which is the most beautiful CryptoKitty or cutest CryptoKitty, etc. Right. So let's go to the next slide and see what is the technical details about this. So once you upload it, so let's take this photo, like every day first 5,000 days by people. This particular person uploaded it onto the blockchain, and the token that was used to uniquely identify this was generated. So that was a token number 40,913. It was generated from an address, and it was stored at an address. What makes it unique is that this particular address is unique, and it will be owned by people or the people whoever buys it from people after that. So this was bought by, like I was like I was mentioning, it was bought by Vignesh Sundaresh with his blockchain name. So he has a different name in the uh, crypto world. He's called MetaCoven, and he used his ID to buy this particular thing. And he would have now the ownership is transferred to this particular art. It transferred to them. So let's say what is so great about this is that let's say Taj Mahal was in this place, and and let's say here instead of people we had Shah Jahan, right? Suppose Taj Mahal is one of the biggest monument in India, and Shah Jahan was the owner. Uh, Even though there are multiple copies of the Taj Mahal, you find miniature versions, you find it in photographs, you find it in posters. but the actual Taj Mahal is still original and still has a great deal of value, right? So you would see something like a, you could have created, suppose, I mean, it is original, and it is a immovable asset. So it is there in person for us to experience, so we know the difference between original and duplicate. But in terms of digital, suppose you want, now we have all these concepts of IP and patenting and other things, right? We'll be able to establish who is the actual owner, who holds the payment, who holds the patent. And suppose we see a lot of property issues where there are double registrations, and where there are multiple other issues with in the property area, right? All these can be avoided once there is a token. It is proven that X person is the owner of this particular item, right? So any doubts in NFTs, any questions over here, or can we go ahead? All right. So again, I'll touch cryptocurrency also at a really high level, because we have to cover uh, better things at the end. So cryptocurrency basically is a virtual currency that is secured by cryptography. It is nearly impossible to counterfeit or make a double spend out of it. The cryptocurrency gained its popularity because of cross-border transfers without the need for a bank. You were able to transfer it in coins and redeem it out into fiat currencies in the destination bank, in the destination country. So you are avoiding a lot of fees over there. It gained its popularity. The Bitcoin was the most popular. Bitcoin continues to be the most popular, but there are thousands of others who are competing now. It is very important to choose the cryptocurrency that you're choosing with a lot of cognizance. But at a high level, the 10 most important cryptocurrencies are listed over here. Bitcoin, Ethereum 2, Cardano, Binance Coin. These are listed. This is a list from Binance itself, and these Binance is one of the largest trading uh, decentralized exchanges for trading of cryptocurrency coins. I just wanted to cover this at a high level so that we can go next into the question answer round. Do Let's interact and let's make this more interactive. I know a lot of us are here trying to understand, what is blockchain about, how do I make a career. It's open to you for your questions, and then we go into details of how to make a career. We still have a presentation, but we can have a question answer round just until this moment. Anybody questions? Yeah. Hui Ming has raised a question. What is the prerequisites to be a blockchain developer? Right. I'll be covering this in the detail in the next slides, but please give me 1 second. So I'll cover this in detail in the next slides, but the prerequisite to be a blockchain developer as such is you need to be a tech savvy person. Uh, you need to have knowledge about programming languages, and that is in order to be a developer. So if all the questions are regarding concerning not concerning the blockchain introduction as such, and if it is regarding the career, I guess we can move a little forward.
Yeah, hi Balakrishnan. So there were a lot of queries from the audience who have previously submitted it to us. So maybe we
Yeah,
can take upon those queries one by one and then come on to the queries that are being posted on the chat box.
sure. Yes, Diptansh.
Talking about it, so we had Devan Suryavanshi, who's currently a fresher, who wanted to know, do freshers or do freshers and data science enthusiasts have any benefit for the blockchain knowledge or not?
Right. Data science is totally a different topic altogether. Data science is mostly dealing with making meaning and deriving interpretations, predictions, and uh, building insights out of the data, making the data to answer a lot. But blockchain is more about interconnectivity. Blockchain is more to do with connecting organizations, building bridges between organizations which would normally not trust each other. So if you're a data science enthusiast, probably blockchain is a different topic altogether. But if you're a fresher, definitely there is a lot of scope, and there is a lot of learning. There are a lot of things to learn in this area.
Sure. Thanks for answering that, Balakrishna. So we also have Tariq Tajuddin, who is currently a data analyst and wants to know, can you give some practical examples of career in blockchain and NFTs?
Yes. So in blockchain as such, you can be a developer. That is what is mostly in demand today. But there are a lot of other positions. As a data analyst, I would not be able to say, because data and blockchain. So currently, there are startups working towards making meaning of blockchain data. There is one Fetch.ai, which comes to my mind immediately. But there are a lot of blockchain startups that are working, trying to make bridge between blockchain and data science, data analysis. But if you want to make a career in blockchain, it is slightly different. We'll have a in-depth look in the next slides.
Sure. And another question is we have from Hue Ming Tan himself, who is currently a regional sales manager, and he wants to know, he's interested to be a blockchain developer, and does he need to have a basic knowledge of web development courses before pursuing blockchain developer course or not? Maybe I guess that is also going to come forward, or maybe we can cover this
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, so web development is also a part of blockchain development. I would not split these two, because although blockchain is more about cryptography, in building networks and building underlying bridges, all the applications that are developed on blockchain would also require front end applications. So you can play a role in a blockchain project as a front end developer. It is also but in order to become a blockchain developer, you don't need to know front end development. Front end development will be like 20% or 10% of you'll need to have the knowledge, but you don't need to be hands on or a deep expert in that area.
I hope that clarifies the question, Yuve. So, moving on, we have Jatin Chaurasia, who is currently pursuing a master in big data analytics. And he wanted to know, what are the opportunities after completing a PhD in the field of blockchain?
Okay, again, these are two different things. If he was not a master's in data science, I would have probably said you can contribute as a PhD in data in blockchain. You can contribute a lot in the cryptography world. You can contribute a lot in the networking world, in building better security protocols, better there are I mean, blockchain is an area that is ripe for innovation. There are people, teenagers, who have discovered a lot of items in blockchain and built great things uh, in blockchain. And we are as a blockchain community, we are also trying to do a lot of things. So uh, these are two different areas, but as a PhD in blockchain, you will be able to contribute a lot.
Yeah, so, the next question is from Pulkit Mahato, who is a testing developer at Accenture, and he wants to know what extent of data structures is required to be learned to get into blockchain.
Okay. So, blockchain, the underlying data structure is similar to that of a linked list and reverse linked list, but that is about it. And there are not too many complications in the data structures as such. The knowledge can be really instrumental if you're going into developing your own blockchain protocol or your own kind of blockchain. But in order to learn blockchain, it is not very mandatory.
So, just a few more questions before we jump on to the questions that are being posted on the chat. So, Chandrasekhar Maurya, who is currently a bachelor student, wants to know how are the pay offers on blockchain as compared to other tech domains, and how is it expected to rise or fall in the future?
So currently, I can say for a good blockchain developer, it is really worthwhile to be in this space. Blockchain developers get a good salary, and more than companies hiring, I also have seen people doing a lot of freelance work, a lot of open source work. There are a lot of communities where a lot of international people want to hire blockchain developers. So there is a lot of money to make in that area. Coming to mainstream from India, there are definitely opportunities. We have new coin DCX, WazirX, a lot of people over there who are hiring for strong blockchain developers, and these guys get paid a lot. So definitely you can give it a try.
And
It is here to rise, and I mean it is certainly a hot topic right now.
definitely, definitely, Balakrishna. So the next question that we have is from Hitesh Bhadoria, who is currently pursuing a PhD again in NLP. So he asks, how do I decide my domain of interest in blockchain?
Domain of interest in blockchain, again, NLP is a different area. Blockchain is completely different. It is okay to make a career transition. I mean, I'll take you through the next slides where we see in depth of what goes inside a blockchain, what is there inside a blockchain, what are the different areas. Probably that explanation could answer a few things or give pointers, but probably these kind of questions is on case basis. We'll have to interact with each other and know in depth about before answering. I can just not answer like
Yeah, sure. Hitesh, feel free to connect with us if you want to take a one-on-one discussion on this query ahead. And I'll just drop the link on chat. Maybe you can check out our website and get to know how you can register and schedule a one-on-one session with Balakrishna for the same. And the last question that we have is coming from a BCom or non-technical background. Is it possible for me to switch to blockchain, and how often does it happen in the industry? And this question has been asked by Akash Sharma, who is currently a sales manager.
okay. Hello, Akash. So career transitions are real. Everybody makes career transitions at some point of their career. They don't like the career which they choose initially, they go in. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of effort to transition into this area. It is not unreal for it all depends on your effort and the kind of motivation and the kind of mentors you choose. And if you have the right bent of mind towards programming, towards understanding the nuances of blockchain, you can definitely be a blockchain developer. But again, I'm coming to the next slides where we see there are a lot of different career paths as well.
I guess we have answered all the queries that were previously submitted to us, and maybe
Yeah.
now we can take a look at the questions that people have posted for us on the chat. And also, I see Adil Ilmane has raised his hand. Maybe Adil, you want to turn on your microphone and ask something?
Yes, please.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Sorry, I came late. I'm so
No
sorry.
problem.
So I am a PhD student in Morocco. Uh,
Okay.
my thesis, my thesis is about implementing blockchain in agricultural field.
Okay. That's very interesting indeed.
Uh, my goal now is to find a platform that can that can test for me the creation of blockchains, the creation of nodes, network, users, memberships. Uh, I wish if you have some proposition about it, some free platforms that can help me. If there is the
Sure.
possibility to import smart contracts also.
Yes, yes. So there are multiple platforms, Adil. I can we probably can connect offline to discuss this. You will get a few hints or in the next slides as well about all of these.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. All right. So we have Hui Ming Tang, who has a cross question about does it mean that you need to be a developer, web developer first? Because before being a blockchain developer, not really, Hui. Web development is just one part of it. But in order to be a blockchain developer, you need to know a few languages. Probably it's better if I go into the next slides rather. Yeah. We can probably skip this particular thing. All that I wanted to show over here was blockchain for supply chain, wherein this is similar to Adil's use case, which we were talking about, agri-tech startup, agri-tech blockchain, where there is an origin of material. There are multiple intermediaries in between, and either through store purchase or online, you are buying an item. But if it is a high value item, let's take for example a bag over here. Let's say it is a diamond encrusted bag, and you want to be sure about whether it is a genuine bag or not, because there are a lot of fakes over there. uh, you buy the bag, you get it home, but what are your options to prove that this particular item is genuine? So if these all of these supply points were connected on a secure network through blockchain, and including the transporter, the production unit, the warehouse, the retail, everybody, then you would be able to verify. You would see a handover of and suppose there was an NFT or digital twin of this particular item on the blockchain. You would then be able to track the movement of the item, and you would be able to see the who was holding. So you will be able to see the chain of custody and chain of identity, and you will be able to verify that using blockchain. So and provenance is one. Verification of provenance basically means from where did this particular network start, who was the first owner of this, or who created this at first, right? And it companies are not going to do this just because the customer wants to know if the item is genuine or not, right? There are many benefits for the customer, for the company who will join on the blockchain network as well. So they can see great improvements in areas of, for the companies, they can see great improvements in areas of inventory management, logistic management, production planning, counterfeit identification, returns and recall, supply chain optimization, and sustainable procurement. So sustainable procurement is again one ripe area, uh, which is closely related to uh, you know the environment as such, where people who are doing mining and other things, they want to be sure they are doing it in the right way, right? So now we are going to see one step under the hood about blockchain. If we come to the functional framework, what is, I mean, if we go back over here, we have one node over here, which is being hosted, let's say, by a production company. One node that has been hosted over here. Inside this one node, you would see multiple technologies. You would see need, like, there are multiple functional areas. You will need to have a SDK for development and deployment of your smart contracts, and you would need to have a runtime to run the smart contract. You would need to build APIs. These smart contracts cannot work just on their own, so they need integration. So they have integration with other systems. And you have, in order to manage your node as such, just the server part of it, you need to know who is joining. So like we looked at private blockchain, right? These are going to be private blockchain at enterprise level. So you need to know who is joining and what level of privacy they have, who has the keys to the network, etc. Blockchain itself, that is building the linked list kind of thing that we were talking about, building the uh, blockchain protocol, building the proof of, I mean, choosing your consensus network, choosing your base platform, that is whether you're choosing Corda or whether you're choosing Ethereum or whether you're choosing anything else, right? And then it also needs to have what is the gas fees, what is the price that you need to pay, etc. We have then need to manage the transactions ecosystem of this, and because you have multiple people who are getting involved, you also need to manage the ecosystem. You also need to have access control on the ecosystem. From the infrastructure side, you need to have a peer-to-peer connectivity, messaging, cryptography, and management of events. So these are the major functional areas that you would see on a blockchain platform. Now, when you go into major focus areas for a career, so you can build your career in the cryptography area, or you can build your career in the decentralized computing area. These two are majorly for highly educated, like PhDs, people who are talking about doing their PhDs. You could probably focus on these two areas, cryptography, decentralized computing. Again, there is major involvement. So we are talking about connecting two companies, and companies are very particular about what data they share and what data they want to show each other, right? So the networking plays a major part. Security, cyber security analysts, you are in full demand. Cyber security guys, storage services for all to store the data in a most secure way, using the cryptography, but you will have to still manage the storage services. And then you have front end app, and the design guys also play a major role. So because you are building a new app for the new age, you really need to have a design team as well in order to bring out the best user experience. These are the major areas in which you can build your career, right? And suppose let's take one, I mean, the developer who is just building this particular app, right? So the developer has to understand, have a basic understanding of all of these. So let's see what is a learning curve of the developer in a blockchain, right? So you would start your career over here. You have basic understanding of how Git works, how Linux shell scripting works, etc. Then you go into understanding languages. You make yourself aware about one language or two: Python, JavaScript, Java itself, or basic understanding of Node.js in order to understand how the networking, how the client and server interactions happen, and basics of API development. And then you go into understanding blockchain and DLT basics. DLT stands for distributed ledger technology, and you need to have an understanding, like basic overview, like what I was teaching today. You will have to go in depth and understanding about what is Ethereum, what is Bitcoin, what is Quorum, what are the differences between these people, etc. And then you need to understand at least two of these. The most popular ones today are Ethereum and Hyperledger Fabric. Adil, probably you can look at using enterprise, Ethereum or Hyperledger Fabric for your network. And in order to deploy its smart contracts, you need to start learning Solidity or Rust. These are two languages in addition to JavaScript that you might have to know. You need to know in order to deploy smart contracts, write contracts on Ethereum. So if you just want to, if you're an enthusiast, you just want to learn, you can have an understanding of Solidity. You can use example smart contracts that have already been built by other people. They are posted on GitHub. They are also available on Ethereum learning sites, Ethereum learning portals. And you need to know to design test. So at a next level. So now you have an understanding, Now you move to the next step where you design, test, and deploy smart contracts in nodes. And once you're able to do this, once you're able to add more participants to the nodes, you're able to handle downtimes, you're able to understand, have a better or like a deeper understanding of blockchain network. You're able to understand forking and how to manage your transactions, deploying a proof of work network, proof of authority network, proof of stake network, all of these things. Once you understand that, you are in a good position to call yourself as a blockchain developer. This is your starting point one. This is where I would consider at least you have spent 1 year understanding of blockchain, and 1 year in hands-on on blockchain. This is where you would be if you are dedicating yourself. And then you go into understanding other networks. You would understand what is Polygon, you will understand what is Polkadot, what is Cardano, or what is different about Quorum, what is different about this. So your basic solid understanding happens on this curve. But once you are up above these steps, the rest of it will build over time, right? You are a solid developer already. Now with these are understanding and incorporating and enhancing your knowledge. This is where your mentorship would help. This is where your reading, writing, and contributing to open source communities, giving talks, understanding, attending developer conferences, uh, these are places where you would really push yourself into out of the orbit as a really uh, star developer, right? And this is your learning curve. And you need to know, for a lot of questions that were around what do I need to know, you need to know Java, JavaScript, or Node.js, and basics of Solidity. From the technology aspects, if you are able to learn this, then you have a strong foothold in going forward, right? But mind you, we are looking at a blockchain developer. This is not the only career in blockchain. This is not the only person who makes a strong career in blockchain. There are many others. There are In order to run a blockchain project, you need many other people, or for any other project, you need many other people. But to be in a blockchain project, you need to have a basic understanding, at least up to the level of knowing how your smart contracts and nodes are being deployed. Once you are aware, or you have at least a 60 to 70% proficiency in this, you can be called as a professional in blockchain, wherein you can build your career in other areas. So you can build your career as a blockchain front-end developer. What is different about a front-end developer in blockchain? He understands the blockchain side of it also. He understands how blockchain APIs work, how do they react, how do they connect. um, Although the platforms are currently being made such that the front-end developer need not pay so much effort, but it is always good to know your knowledge is not going to go waste. So once you have crossed, let's say, the one at least 3 or 4 steps, if you are on the fifth step, you're amazing. But if you're able to cross at least 3 or 4 steps out of this, and you have a solid understanding, and you can make your career in the IT areas in this side, right? This is on the left. We have IT careers. We also have, all these have to be deployed onto the server. So suppose you are an AWS engineer who is proficient with Kubernetes, who is proficient with deploying clusters and managing clusters, CI/CD pipelines, DevOps, and etc. We need you. We need the deployment engineers to a great extent. I mean, if you have a knowledge of how blockchain works and you are a deployment engineer, you are definitely going to make a lot. For designers, I mean, people who are designing designs for the front end application, you also would have to understand how blockchain applications are different from the rest of the applications that you built. How is the user community different? How are you going to engage with the user differently? And for business analysis as well, before you propose a solution to your client, you need to understand blockchain, right? You can make your career in project management, in marketing, and business development for blockchain development. But when you're in the marketing space, you need to understand a lot about all the other areas, all your competitors, all your other products in the offering, because blockchain is one space where there is a new news about, or a new product that is being released at least every week, and we see a lot of enthusiasm from the developer community. And so you need to be aware of what is happening. Research and development, like I was talking in two slides earlier, uh, in this particular slide, we you can there is a lot of scope for research and development in cryptography, decentralized computing, improving the number of transactions that happen per second. You'll be paid in millions if you're able to come out with your own consensus protocols, or an innovation, or betterment over an existing protocol, if you're able to do something. But do remember to generate your NFTs for all your work. um, Again, there is a lot of scope in the academia. Academia basically means the people who are teaching, and who are teaching the upcoming blockchain developers. So suppose you have spent a lot of time in the blockchain industry, you can also think about moving into the academia, right? Now we are reaching to the end of our session. Do we have any more questions for me, or was this really helpful? I see someone unmuted. Or does this answer, like, how do you build your career in blockchain? Does this help all of you?
Yeah, everyone, just please feel free to turn on your microphones and put forward your questions. We have
Yes, we'll share these slides. But Victor says, how smart contracts enter Indore Caros. I didn't understand your point, Victor. Can you please unmute yourself, probably, in case you want to ask?
Yeah, sure. I'm wonder in these careers, how does
Yeah.
smart contracts can be used? For example, if you go to the next slide, for
Mm-hmm.
for example, a company needs to do a blockchain business somehow. For example, insurance companies wants to do smart contracts with people.
Correct.
Uh, Would you say that a job of developing smart contracts would be a possible career?
Yes, definitely. So, blockchain engineer does not only wear is not specialist in just developing the smart contract, but blockchain engineer also has to take into account how the transactions would work, how the transactions would be executed on the blockchain. What are the loopholes that could make the contract vulnerable? Uh, I mean, the language, the blockchain is continuously evolving. So there are industry also adapts with new standards. So there is a constant need to adapt your smart contracts to the latest standards as well. So that in itself is a career, and deployment and testing of the smart contracts is also a career. These are careers. These are like stepping stones for you to become a senior developer, and finally get into as a contributor to the community. This is what I was talking about over here. So once you are perfect with your understanding of smart contracts, or using Solidity and Rust, or any other language, Golang, and you can then move into contributing to open source communities. You can be in the deep tech role, you can contribute a lot. But understanding this would be one basic footstep. Does that answer, Victor?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Uh,
Like to turn on their microphones?
yes, please. Let's go open house. Uh, Hui says, I like doing research and meeting and teaching people. What do you recommend? Academia? What is the example of project management? Again, Hui, I will not be able to directly give you, uh, uh, a career suggestion based on one-liners, but probably we can meet offline and discuss it. Uh, Researching, meeting, and teaching people, meeting and researching and meeting people is okay, but teaching somebody, you need to have a great deal of depth in one particular area, which brings you, uh, which would force you again to go back to the career graph which I shared, and you need to cross at least a few steps over there to have a deeper understanding, and then try to transfer your understanding while going on updating yourself. Example of project management. Project management, again, you need to understand the basics of blockchain, and every project needs to have blockchain leaders who understand what is happening and to try to take the project forward, right? You need to have a business understanding and a technology understanding. You need to be able to bring out features that are relevant to the market. So program and product and project management, these are things that come handy over there. Project management, yeah. All right. So coming to the learning resources for the blockchain, if the best way to learn blockchain is internet research. There are books, there are people, there are many authors. Debjani Mohanty is one famous Indian author who writes a lot on the blockchain and DLT space. But these are again books, and blockchain is an uh, evolving area, due to which the books often refer to old stuff. But internet research is one way that you can learn about everything in blockchain. Thanks to viewing, and thanks to me, we have done our little bit of internet research, and we have come up with sites. We have come up with learning resources for you to specifically target areas. Like if you want to learn more about Bitcoin, you got to see this playlist and learn. It goes into great detail about Bitcoin. There is a lot of learning resources for Ethereum. Ethereum is one of the main things, and it is like going to be the future of. In future, there are going to be many things which are based on Ethereum and smart contracting. So there is a lot of learning that is supposed to be done on Ethereum. For if you want to learn about NFTs, again, Ethereum has tutorials on how to mint your NFT, but it is not. I mean, it will be worth your time to go to Rarible or OpenSea and try to read about MetaMask. Again, Ethereum. As you go into Ethereum, you'll also know about MetaMask, but it is important for NFTs as well. Cryptocurrencies, there is no better place than Coinbase and Binance to teach you. But SSRN, this is Elsevier companies' research papers on cryptocurrency. You might find a lot of information over here. Hyperledger Fabric is another important thing for people who to start their careers. Uh, Please go to each of these websites and learn more about it. There are a lot of other things, a lot of blogs and items which will help you. So please go through and learn more about this. Right, that brings us to the end of the presentation, and thanks to the viewing team for giving me this opportunity. And in case you have any questions, please feel to reach out to me. But